Young adults, stop thinking that everybody could be your role model. Stop thinking that, oh, as long as they got a voice, they look like they doing something, oh yeah, man, they worth listening to. No, do your due diligence and really break down what they saying, or really break down how they modeling their life. Because at the end of the day, man, we listen with our eyes. What up, winners? Welcome to another episode of the Taco Thursday with JK Podcast. I am your host, JK, and you know I'm all about helping you win in areas of your life, such as your career, your relationships, and a role as a parent, by tackling topics each and every week on this podcast. Man, I'm targeting young adults out there. I want to see you win. And so today's episode, man, we tackling the topic of role models. Role models, man. I had a couple conversations with some people that I know, are young adults, so they work with young adults. And I asked, I said, man, what's a pain point? What's something that you see the young adults that come through your office, because he works at a college. I was like, man, what's some of the things you feel like they deal with, or topics that, that you feel like they struggle with, or they could benefit from hearing from or about? And he said role models, right? And so that's the topic we tackling today, man, role models, man. I think regardless how old, how young you are, man, it's good, it's great to, I believe, to have role models, man, especially as young adults. Man, just having a role model, or having people in the world, or people in your life that you can model your behaviors after, I believe it's very, very important. It's kind of like, for my, young adults out there that's parents, right? Imagine if we just have kids and we just let them raise themselves, that they didn't have any role models or have any people. I appreciate it, bro. If they didn't have any people that they could model their behavior after, kids wouldn't learn how to talk. Kids wouldn't learn how to walk. Our kids wouldn't learn specific mannerisms, or just social interactions. They learn those things because they have role models. They have people in their lives that they can model things after, right? So as parents, we are role models for our kids, whether we want to be that or not. As a parent, we're a role model for our kids. But what we talking about today specifically, we talking about young adults having role models, right? Young adults having role models. And the question, to be honest, we start off is like, man, do you have one? Do you have a role model? Do you have role models in your life? And when I'm saying that is, I'm not saying, hey, you might not have one role model for every area of life, but I believe you can have specific people in your life, or maybe not even in your life, but just in this world, or that have lived before, that you utilize as a role model, right? On this specific episode, man, just what I, tackling my topics, like I said in the opening, is, hey, I'm tackling topics that deal with your career or your relationships and the role as a parent. So just thinking about those three facets of our life as young adults, like, who's that role model for you? That you talk about careers, like if you want to be in a specific career, like my boy say, as a commentator, right? So if you want to be a commentator, who's that role model for you? Who's that big bro, big sis? Who's that person? Maybe you don't know them, but they wrote a book, or you follow them on social media, or you're in their class, their master class. They're your personal coach. Who is that role model? Do you have a role model when it comes to the career that you desire, right? And so for my young adults out there, if you, whatever career field you desire to be in, I encourage you to find a role model in that area. When we talk about relationships, I think it's very, very important for young adults to have a role model when we start talking about relationships, right? Like, if we just get into the relationship, whether we know it or not, when we get in a relationship, we're modeling somebody, like, point blank. So I know, me and Brittany, we talk about it all the time, why we like, hey, it's so important for us as husband and wife, as father and mother of our kids, it's so important that we model things the right way for our kids, because they're watching us have discussions. They're watching us communicate. They're watching us how we treat each other. So we know that we got to model that behavior for them, because at the end of the day, how we grow up and treat people in relationships a lot of times is based on what we seen or how we were taught, right? I know my mentality as a man, and when it comes to my wife, it's like, yo, I just want to make sure you good. You know, I got to make sure you good. You know, you my priority. Got to make sure I take care of you. I get paid. Hey, what you want? I need to, right? That mentality came from my dad. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm modeling that mentality, that behavior, because of my dad. I seen that's what he did for my mom, right? And so, as a young adult, if you're in a relationship but you don't have no other relationships or no other people or somebody in your life that you're modeling yourself after of, or you can get advice from, or you're learning from, it's a dangerous place. Or even when we get into parenting, right? How do you become a good parent if you never parent before, right? Like, just by yourself. Like, how do you know what to do as a parent if you never parent before? So having a role model, in the parenting, whether you're learning from your parents, or, you got a big bro, big sis, or you got a homeboy, homegirl, who's was a parent before you asking them for advice. But the point is, what I believe is that at the end of the day, my young adults out there, man, you gotta have role models. That I truly believe that. You gotta have role models. And when I'm saying role models, I'm talking about is somebody, whether you know them personally or you follow them by, from afar, or you read up on stuff, but it's somebody that, or some people that you gotta, in my opinion, you gotta be modeling after or learning from, so you can get better, right? Now, when we talk about discovering, role models, and I say, do you have one, right? Some of y'all might answer that question. I want y'all to tackle this topic, role models. Like, as you listen to this, watch it live or on replay, I want y'all to think, man, do I have role models in my life? Do I have people that I'm modeling my behaviors, my ideologies, my philosophy? Like, what am I modeling? You know what I mean? Like, where do I get the way that I think, or how I move, or how I treat people? Where am I getting that from? Where did I get that from? Or what am I modeling, right? And so, if you do have role models, or if you're looking for role models, right, to have in your life, because at the end of the day, right, when you start a business or you go internship, right? A lot of times when you're in college, some of my young adults that's in college right now, you're looking for internships. You're looking for an internship in a company somewhere where you can go and model the behaviors of the people in that company or that particular position. You're looking for a role model. You don't want just any role model. You want a role model that, that could fit that criteria. The criteria that's going to educate you, is going to, have you as an apprentice. They're going to prepare you. They're going to make sure that they groom you, right? So when we talk about looking for role models, when we talk about looking for role models when it comes to like dating, like who's encouraging you, who's molding you to be the man you are, to be the woman you are, to behave the way that you behave in relationships. Who's that role model, right? Because to be honest, I believe we got to have a criteria on the people that we consider role models, or who we're being influenced by. Because at the end of the day, when we look at it, that's really what the role model is doing. The role models are influencing us. Whoever, so you could say, man, I don't got no role models, I've moved to my own beat. Okay. All right. So who's influencing you? And to be honest, for a lot of our young adults, it's the rappers. It's music. It's what they hear. And I'm all about it. I listen to music. I listen to rap. I listen to gospel. I listen to all type of music. And so the question is our behavior being molded or inspired by music? And then if it is, what is that music telling us, or what are these people telling us to do in areas of our life, right? So let's think about like relationships. Now, I grew up and I heard a whole lot of music talking about basically how many girls you could get, or how, you know what I'm saying? Basically, it wasn't promoting monogamy, meaning being in a relationship, right? A faithful relationship, right? So we didn't grow up. A lot of that wasn't in the music. It was about, oh, who you can be with, how many women you can have, right? So if I allowed that to be my role model, or to be what influenced me, then how I interact with women is going to emulate or be like what I'm allowing to influence me, or what my role model is modeling for me. And so that's why we got to make sure that, hey, who or what is influencing me? What am I, or who am I allowing to be my role model? Okay, right? So if all we're listening to as men, or even as women, you know, if we're being influenced by the music that's telling us, oh yeah, man, hey man, you know, do your thing, talk to this, be with this person, be with that person, then how you act in your relationships is gonna resemble that. And the thing about, you know, being influenced negatively, or allowing what we hear in music to go beyond entertainment, because that's all it really is. Like, music is entertainment. But a lot of times with young adults, and even like younger ones, like in high school, or you know, freshman, sophomore, you know, in college, we struggle knowing what is entertainment in reality. So you have people, I remember, because, you know, I work with young adults. So I remember hearing a kid, you know, they talk about, oh man, if she ain't foreign, she born. Like, these kids are following, have role models that are saying, if she ain't foreign, she born. So they're believing that. And so because they believe that, now they're looking at every woman in they class, or the people they might date or interact. And if she's from America, their perspective or perception of her is, she boring because she ain't, you know, because that's what their role models are saying. Or even if they don't look at them as role models, that's who or what they're listening to and being influenced by is saying. You get what I'm saying? So if we're not careful and we don't vet the people that's influencing us, or we don't vet who we're calling our role models to be, we could end up making mistakes or finding ourselves in worse positions because our role model, that's what our role model said do. That's what the TV show said do. So we gotta be able to understand, man, what's good for me, what's healthy for me, what's entertainment, what's reality. Like, at the end of the day, I could listen to all that music, I'd be singing some of the lyrics or whatever, but at the end of the day, I know for me, it's monogamy, it's faithfulness to my wife. Because I know for me, one, my role model is Jesus Christ, is God, right? I know what he called me to be. But even how I was raised, right? My father, right? It's about monogamy, being married to one woman. Like, that's what my role model in my relationships did. So when we look at, you know, how we move from relationships, both men and women, right? You got to ask yourself, man, why I can't just be with one person? Why, you know, I struggle with being faithful? Or why do I struggle with commitment issues? You got to go back, like, who your role models? Did you grow up with uncles, right? Guys, like, did you grow up with uncles or cousins that told you, hey, bruh, hey, try to mess with all these type of people? Like, hey, don't settle down. Or do you have uncles that's telling you, hey, man, don't get married, man. Hey, marriage, bruh, dog, marriage is horrible. Are those your role models? Because if those are your role models, then it's a reason why you behave the way you do in your relationships, because of the people you're allowing to be your role models. So you got to vet, right? You got to vet that. Same thing with careers. Like, if your role models, and when we talk about money or finances or careers, like, if your role models out there making fast money, and you like, man, they making fast money. Like, I want to make fast money, and they your role models, right? Then you follow that. But a lot of times, see, we just see the flashy part. We don't see the consequences that come with that fast money, right? We just see what our role models may be doing or what they may say, and it may look cool, and you might fall into that trap of making fast money. But if you change your mindset and say, okay, you know what, like that fast money, come fast and leave fast, and it got greater consequences. Well, how about you find a role model, whether you know them personally or not? It's so many financial gurus out here. There's so many books out here, right? Find you a role model. Find you someone to model after when it comes to financial literacy, when it comes to financial knowledge, when it comes to financial capability, how to be able to use the money. Find yourself somebody to model in that way, right? That can put you and help you get your finances in a better situation. Or like I say, if you got a specific career, like if I want to be a TV broadcaster, then maybe my role model shouldn't be a rapper. I need to start the model after whoever the TV broadcaster is. That makes sense, right? Because that's the career that I want. So as young adults, we got to start to really organize our life. Like, who am I following? Who influencing me? Who are my role models? And in every area of our life, we can deem people as our role model, or we can deem people as the people that we model after, right? I know, like for me, like when I'm talking about like financial literacy and things of that nature, one of my role models or people that I'm modeling after is, you know, Wall Street Trapper, right? Or EYL. And some other, people that's dope in it, in financial literacy. We talk about speaking. Got Odell Bizzle, Jeremy Anderson, Eric Thomas, like, you know, E.T. Like, these are people that, hey, I'm modeling after what they do because, hey, they're great at what they do. And I'm going to model and become better at what I do. So I model in that way. So we have to check have a criteria on who's our role models, and are they qualified to be our role models. And I was listening to a pastor the other day, man, and he was just saying that how we allow so many people to be our role models that aren't qualified to be our role models, right? Even I heard somebody talking about even like with our parents or just people in our lives and our families. Like, just because somebody in your family doesn't mean they have to be your role model in every area of your life. So, you know, when we talk about, if you're talking about relationships, if you see somebody who ain't have not one successful relationship in their life, they don't have no friends, or all their dating relationships just keep ending the same way, why allow that person to be a role model? You get what I'm saying? Or if you see someone who may not have a successful business, I ain't talking about like they got to have millions of dollars. That's a process. But I'm just saying, if you see someone that's not doing good for themselves, why would you allow them to be your role model on what you should do? If you seen somebody, right, not go to college and they not doing nothing for themselves, why allow them to be your role model on if you should go to college or not? No, right? But so many times we're allowing people who are not qualified enough to give us advice. We're allowing people that's not qualified enough to be our role model in different areas of our life that have no social proof. You get what I'm saying? Like, no social proof. So at year one, if I try to give you marital advice and be a role model for marriage in my first year of marriage, like, you should be like, I don't know, JK, bro. You only got 1 year in, man. Like, maybe you could just give me dating advice because, you know, you dated a long time, but I don't know about marriage advice, right? But now I'm coming up on 8 years of marriage. Now I'm a little bit more, got a little bit more skin in the game, got a little more, you know, knowledge, wisdom, understanding about marriage. Now I can be a better role model now, right? After having 8 years in the game of marriage. You get what I'm saying? So I know, and I think it's ownership too as young adults. Like, stop trying to be role models for people that you ain't qualified to do so in certain areas. Like, stop trying to be a role model for a person when it comes to finances if you ain't qualified yet. Stop trying to be a role model for people in relationships when you ain't qualified in relationships yet. Stop trying to be a role model to people in business or careers if you ain't qualified in that career yet. Right? Like, when if we talk about a commentator, a broadcaster, I might, if I'm talking to some high school kids, I give them tips on, how to commentate, how to be a better broadcaster. But for me, I don't think I'm qualified yet to really be a role model in the broadcasting business, right? I tell like high school kids that's going to college, I say, hey, hit me up, let me know, bro. Like, hey, I try to help whatever I can. I can try to help, right? But I ain't trying to be like just oh yeah, I got it all. Nah, I can help, but it's a limit because I don't think I'm qualified in that. Now, when we talk about football, oh, hey, you trying to go play football in college, or you need advice on that? You try to go play pro football? I feel like I'm qualified. I could be a role model when it comes to that. So I think that as young adults, as people as well, we need to know what we're qualified to be a role model in. And then vice versa, we need to vet people and be like, okay, are you qualified to be a role model for me in this area of my life? Are you qualified for me to be willing to model your behavior in this area of your life? If you keep seeing people, they dating a new person, they with a new person every year, that's a new person, that might not be the people that you want to say relationship goals. It just might not. And just keep them 100. But like I said, I heard this pastor, he was talking, he was like, man, how we put so much faith and trust in, in America. Like, we talk about celebrities, we talk about, and that's, hey man, ain't nothing wrong with that. Like, hey, ain't nothing wrong with being a celebrity, ain't nothing wrong with being famous. I'm not saying that. But the point of what I'm saying is that when we will not vet a celebrity, or we will not vet famous people, and we would just allow them to be our role models without seeing if they're qualified enough. Like, we'll listen to this rapper or this musical artist all day long, country singer or R&B singer. We'll listen to them all day long, and we'll just take their advice without vetting what they're saying. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's where we get in trouble. So we got to understand as young adults that we need role models, or we need people to model after. Because if you are the only measuring stick for your growth, or if you are the only person that you're using to grow as a person, to grow in your career, to grow in your relationship, to grow as a parent, if you're the only person that you're utilizing to grow, you're not going to grow as much, right? You're going to be limited. That's why the Bible says iron sharpens iron. Iron cannot sharpen, right? One piece of iron cannot sharpen itself. It needs another piece of iron. So when we talk about role models, or them people that we model after, we need people in every area of our life, right, that we're modeling after, or we're learning from, or we're growing from, because that iron sharpens iron. So when I be watching Wall Street Trapper and I'm listening to him break down that financial, all that financial stuff, his iron is sharper than me. I'm like, oh, okay then. Oh, and I see, right, he got receipts for what he's doing. He got credibility. I'm like, okay, yeah, he qualified. He verified to be a role model, or someone I model after when it comes to finances, right? But I'm vetting him. I'm just not, I'm vetting him, and I'm like, I'm following what he's saying. I'm listening, and I see his evidence, his proof, his social proof, right? And so that's what we got to do in every area of our lives. So young adults, stop thinking that everybody could be your role model. Stop thinking that, oh, as long as they got a voice, they look like they doing something, oh yeah, man, they worth listening to. No, do your due diligence and really break down what they saying, or really break down how they modeling their life. Because at the end of the day, man, we listen with our eyes. We listen with our eyes. You get what I'm saying? We listen with our eyes. Like, so in music, like, this is the crazy thing about music, man. Like, it was said that, you know, for like, especially like male artists, but even I guess like with female artists too, that it fared better for, men and women artists. It fared better with their fans when they promoted singleness. When it came off to their fans that they were single, it did better because, you know, the fans felt like, oh, I could be with that person, or it just was a better look. But many of those musicians that were kind of looked like they were single were in a relationship. So if you are modeling after someone who's promoting something like singleness or being single or being you know what I'm saying, living life, hey, it's all about you, you don't need nobody. But at the end of the day, when they done recording that song, they go home to their significant other. But you listening to everything they saying, and you like, yeah, man, I don't need nobody, I can be single. And there ain't nothing wrong with singleness, because you got to enjoy every season of your life. Enjoy your season of singleness. Enjoy your season of dating. Enjoy your season of engagement. And definitely enjoy your season of marriage. So enjoy every season. But what I'm saying is, if you're listening to what somebody says and ignoring what they're doing, then you can find yourself in trouble. So we got to make sure that, hey, we vet the people that we're allowing to influence us. Even in our own selves, when we find ourselves being role models, we got to ask ourselves, am I qualified to be a role model in this area of my life, or in this area for another person? Am I qualified? Know where you're qualified at, know where you're not qualified. And at the end of the day, we all need role models. And if you're like, man, I don't need no, and what I mean by we all need role models, we all need people, right? Whether we know them personally or we know them from afar by the works they have done, but we all need people that we follow, right? That we model after. You know what I'm saying? Like we look at MLK, like us young adults, we ain't meet MLK, but he a great role model though. He's someone great to model after. You know what I'm saying? He's a lot of, you know, even E.T., right? He talk about a lot of his speeches. He listened to MLK because he's a great person to model after. So we all need people to model after, because that gives us a higher level to aim for. So if you are a thousandaire, you can model somebody that's a 100,000-aire. If you are 100,000-aire, you can model somebody that's a millionaire, right? Because modeling them can equip you with the skills, the things you need to go to the next level. If you are single, it is good to model people that are dating. Or if you're dating, it's good to model people who are engaged. If you're engaged, it's good to model people who are married, because they probably will share things, who are in a healthy marriage, right? They probably will share things and tips with you that you can take and apply to where you are and make you better for where you are, and ultimately make you better for where you're going when you get to the next level. So at the end of the day, man, as I wrap this episode up, vet your role models. Vet the people and the things you're allowing to influence you. Once you vet them, at the end of the day, like I say, make sure you have someone or something that you're modeling after or you're following in every area of your life, so you can grow and be better, because iron can't sharpen iron by itself. It needs two pieces of iron. And so what I'm saying is we got to understand that I just can't let anybody, right? I need a role model. So to my young adults out there, understand this, right? You need a role model. And I'm not saying that, oh, you got to have somebody you know, your ace boom coon, but you need a role model, or you need someone or something that you're modeling after. Understanding that, right? Because iron sharpens iron. So in other words, you need another piece of iron. You need someone that's bigger, that's better, that's more knowledgeable than you to keep rubbing off on you, so you can grow and be better in areas of your life, in your career, in your relationships, in your role as a parent, right? But then when you understand that, then you know I gotta vet whoever I allow to influence me or be my role model. I gotta make sure they're qualified to be a role model in my life, because I don't need somebody to be a role model in my life in terms of a relationship if they not being in a monogamous relationship, if they're not faithful, if they're not living an honest life, if they not, you know what I'm saying, being with one person. No, I don't need that. I don't need that. I don't need them to be a role model, right? So understanding if a person is qualified for that. I don't need somebody that's they finances ain't right, they struggling financially to be my role model financially, or to be who I model after financially. I don't need that. And that goes for everybody. That goes for people in your family. That goes for friends. You don't need, just because you know them, you don't need them to be your role model in areas of your life if they are not qualified. So understand they got to be qualified. They got to be qualified. All right? So, and understand you yourself can be a role model to other people, but also make sure you're qualified to be a role model in other people's lives. All right? Make sure you're not just trying to give people advice and you're not qualified in that area, right? Not saying you got to be an expert, not saying because you're not going to be perfect, but know what you're qualified to be a role model in, all right? And so, man, hey, y'all continue to wake up, striving to win on purpose, be intentional about winning. Y'all go and subscribe to the podcast, man, on YouTube at Jeremy Kellem, man. Go subscribe. Also, subscribe to the YouTube channel where you can catch the video version of the podcast on YouTube at Jeremy Kellem, man. Subscribe to the podcast on listening podcasts and platforms like Anchor and Apple Podcasts. Go subscribe there, man. Also, man, y'all go subscribe to my family's YouTube channel, Kellem Family Moments. Y'all go subscribe there, man. Also, me and my wife, we got our book that we're going to be putting out, where the link and things where you can go find it, man. So definitely stay tuned for that. We're dropping our book soon in the coming weeks, man. And so, hey, like I say, man, y'all continue to wake up, travel, win on purpose, be intentional about winning, and y'all have a blessed day.